So this is a panel session in Where Next for CPaaS. So we're going to keep this short and sweet because, well, we're running over a little bit of time, so I want to keep this to about 20 minutes. So we'll start with you, David.
Okay.
Short and sweet answers. What is CPaaS for you?
It's not, to me, it's not what people think it is. To me, it's basically programmable telco. And, well, like I said earlier, CPaaS has been around for ages. Communications Platform as a Service. Faxio is one of them. So Gartner and everybody else lumping everybody into this one category just doesn't make sense. So it confuses people. Basically.
Yep. Lewis?
Definition of CPaaS is very broad, depending on what you're doing. For a company like us, like Hotspot, it's like using in a simple way to build applications. That's okay. That's very Earth level, but that's at the end of the day. Again, we have to think about the users and what are the use cases. But basically, for me, it's a way of building and scaling business apps.
Marco?
If you're going to ask me or Tintec, what are you going to remember about CPaaS in the future? So that's a very good definition to me of what something is about what are you going to remember about it. And I think I would go so extreme to say CPaaS is going to be the reason why we're going to see business phone devices to be removed from the desks. I believe there's going to be an end to those devices, and CPaaS is going to be the reason for this because virtualization kicks in. Everybody has a mobile phone, everybody has a computer. There's not going to be a need with CPaaS for business phones as devices anymore. I think you would see headsets replacing that. They're more comfortable anyhow, at least if you ask me. So that's what you're going to remember about CPaaS. It was the reason for this.
Excellent. Stacey?
For us, CPaaS is pretty simple. It's just about APIs that expose telecoms resources. Doesn't really matter what those resources are, to developers to be able to use easily and simply. So, I mean,
No, that's great.
Basically it.
Excellent. And then Kareem?
Yeah, I believe we all agree on the standard definition of a CPaaS being a mashup between programmable telco, cloud technologies for an off-the-shelf development environment. But we honestly see it a bit more than that. We see it an accelerator that help our enterprises with their time to market and for them to skip all the red tape and operational headache. And second, it forms one-stop shop for all their communication needs to enable and facilitate their digital transformation enablement. So without the need for getting into the back-end infrastructure and so on.
Exactly. So we'll move on to you now for the second question, which is, where is CPaaS going?
We believe, again, there are four main pillars, which is contextual communication, going to the right, going to the users on the right channel at the right time with the right content. Second would be an easy and customizable offering for CPaaS, because long time ago, we got the time for developers that are using only CPaaS. Now we see a lot of business users using CPaaS services as well. Third, definitely machine learning, NLP, and bots. It would take the enterprise communication experience to the next level. And I would say fourth, but most importantly, finding the mean to integrate with the existing enterprise systems.
Yeah, excellent point. Stacey?
Can you repeat the question?
No, it's okay. Jet lag, it's okay. Yeah, it's quite away from the West Coast. Where is CPaaS going?
So we see, as I spoke about a little bit before, we see CPaaS going, we really see the companies starting to stratify. So companies getting very deep into telco and exposing telco resources, and then other CPaaS players, I mean, as you've seen with some of the presentations, really starting to provide more logic and services on top of these deep telecom resources. And I also fear a little bit that some of the cloud players are getting deeper and deeper into CPaaS as well. I think they're going to be formidable competitors on this side.
Very good point. Marco?
I think after having seen a lot of unification and merging of different channels into the same platform, You will see now with CPaaS that it's going to be splitting into different areas. So we all agree that different focus areas are necessary.
Yep.
We have enough channels already. We know how to make them productive, but to actually build out enterprise solutions, you need to specialize. Either on regions, so we have spoken about Twilio, but only 26% of the revenues is like outside of the US.
Yep.
There is the reason for this. One of the reasons is connectivity is something that is in the telco space, for example, something that you need to aggregate. So you need to go one by one to carriers to actually collect that connectivity, which takes a lot of time. And there are people that are already specialized in that. There are people that are specialized in software solutions already. All of them form the CPaaS space,
Yeah.
but you will see that segments will build out and become more prominent, and specialized areas will get their own terms and stuff like that. And you should definitely look out for what is it that you need as an enterprise, what's the areas that you're looking for, what are the channels that you're specialized in to make a good vendor selection.
Excellent.
Okay, so I would add, I mentioned what I would call programmable SaaS. I think it was quite disruptive what Twilio did. First making competition to their own customers, like Talkdesk and other ones. But developing is very long. It's dangerous, it has bugs. So, even if you can do everything with CPaaS, and we saw that with Hotspot, it takes time to build applications. And the idea of like delivering blocks, this kind of ideas, or the showroom from VoIP Innovations, where you have like single feature apps and like very targeted things, for me is a real trend. What Twilio did with Flex, being a cool UCaaS like solution, is like, okay, you have like already a block and then you just do plugins. It's theory, but it's very expensive, but I think it's worth probably the price. So I see this kind of evolutions in the future, democratization and like mini apps and in all areas.
Yeah, Lewis. David.
Well, I see it as Legos, basically, building blocks right now. In the future, basically, we're going to see, like we've talked about, what Lewis was alluding to, is really an assembly of services, of value-added point solutions. Twilio is looking at that right now too as well, with Flex, and providing a plurality of different types of use cases to better serve customers.
Yeah, no, and just to say, and Lewis knows this, there were quite a few other CPaaS players that were providing enablers before Twilio. So it wasn't necessarily disruptive as a category, but it was to their poor customers. Moving on to the last question, which is what's going to be important to be successful as a CPaaS provider? So this is, this is the hard one.
I gotta go first,
we've covered basically what it is, where it's going. Now, operationally, what are some of the keys to success?
Well, you have to have a good team, execute, table stakes. I think APIs that are now, composited APIs that basically are table stakes, and the ability to enable developers, but more importantly, businesses to pick and choose what they need to solve a particular pain point, and that's big.
Yeah, no, and that's a very good point we're going to hear this afternoon. So that point we'll actually come back to. Lewis.
The question is what?
What's going to be important? You don't have the advantage of jet lag. It's just staying up too late.
No, but I go out with jet lag people.
What's going to be important to be successful as a CPaaS player? I did send you this question before.
Yeah,
It doesn't
I know,
necessarily
but
mean you read it, I understand.
Things change from. I know. I think the market will automatically segment, and you cannot have like 10 like identical players, so it can differentiate by different. I think, for instance, we all know Twilio, so we don't know, like maybe SignalWire targets more like
2600 hertz, Telnex. The list goes on. There's a long list.
Exactly. So I think the market at some point will have to concentrate, segment. What it takes is differentiating in some way, and like for instance, VoIP Innovations, build your application, we distribute your application, so it's about business at the end of the day. And the other thing, something I wanted to prepare in the presentation is there was a famous Twilio slide that everybody copied in this space at the beginning. It was like you had like 4 telecom engineers, then the cloud, and then millions of developers. And we could add like a third section to that, which is users or like computer educated people who are not developers. And with all this trend of like doing simple things like with visual designers, I think it's also a trend because the audience of CPaaS is still concentrated. Like
Very
telecom
small,
was
yeah.
for telecom engineers and for web developers, and now in the future, maybe a 5-year-old can like design like an IVR very easily or do some call flows,
Yeah.
and so on. So
That's a very good point.
yep.
I think when you take a look at the variety of CPaaS players, you should not forget that CPaaS by itself is not a business model.
Yeah.
So whenever you are a CPaaS provider and you want to be successful, you need to understand your end-to-end value creation chain. Because when you provide enterprise functions, the enterprise function has a use case and then has a value, but it also has a value creation chain before that. Specifically when you speak about the CPaaS space that is related to telecommunications, because communication platform as a service is not focused purely on telecommunications. It has IP communications as well. So sitting here and speaking about telecommunications piece of the CPaaS side, you indeed need to have an identity. You need to be sure about what is your add value to the value creation chain. We at Tintec, for example, we have built interconnections based on a different concept than others, being an operator ourselves, an international, and interconnecting like an operator to build up connectivity asset. And that is an identity, I think, and every CPaaS provider needs to have an identity that differentiates. You cannot just copycat one CPaaS like style from one country or one region or one channel to another. It doesn't work.
Exactly.
So you need to build up your own business model, your own identity, and preferably on assets that you have built out over a longer time of your business to make sure that this is actually meeting the need for productivity and operational efficiency that enterprise use cases at scale require.
Excellent answer. Thank you, Marco. Stacey.
Along the lines of what everyone else has said so far, I think it really depends on what audience you're serving. And so for us, since we're serving such large enterprise clients, it's going to be important for us to continue to focus on quality because they're becoming more demanding, on pricing obviously because they're becoming more demanding, and just on making sure that we're constantly understanding our clients' problems and how we can help them with the assets that we have solve those problems. I think just maintaining a very strong customer focus is one of the most important things for any business to be successful, and also in this industry as well.
And I think just to the two previous presentations we saw, when you focus on the customer, it's important to remember the customer isn't you. It's basically a segment that you've identified. They have your stats on, as we see with voicemail and with fax. Howard isn't faxing, but he's serving a lot of people that do fax. Kareem.
Okay, so again, I'll answer that question based on our experience in the Middle East. So I would definitely first say regional regulatory compliance. It's core for operating and being successful. Second is providing an end-to-end solution for the customers. They need somebody to jump in and get the things done. And third is being flexible and to take more customizations, because there is different use cases for each of these enterprises.
Yeah.
And I would say it would always remain having a strong platform that would support that you deliver to the customers what you promised them you will.
Exactly.
So it would remain definitely a key differentiator, strong platform.
Exactly. And I know it sounds trite to say customer focus, but when you're so defocused by the technology and a lot of the marketing BS that's out there, it is something that you have to keep coming back to and reminding yourself almost on a daily basis. So this was an excellent panel, very open, frank statements in terms of what CPaaS is, where it's going, and what you need to be successful. So again, thank you so much, guys. A round of applause for the panel.